All right, guys, so we got to talk about a sad story. That is a prime example of what I try to tell you guys about how wokeness is antithetical to common sense. In fact, wokeness can possibly lead you down a path of deletion because you're not using your common sense. Like, for example, they tell you not to profile people because it's racist, okay? When you have a dark character walking around at night with a hoodie on, okay? We're talking about late night, maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. They say don't profile, don't run away from that individual, don't keep your distance from that individual. Don't just assume this individual might be dangerous, because again, if the individual happens to be black, that is called stereotyping, okay? So they don't want you to stereotype, which means they don't want you to go along with your natural instincts. So some people may say this is instincts that have been developed through evolution in order to survive, right? So don't go along with common sense. So what your brain tells you may or may not be a person who can be a threat to your life. Again, don't adhere to your survival instincts. And when you do that, you typically can find yourself in situations that you really shouldn't be in, because again, you are lacking common sense. Wokeness has replaced your common sense. And again, this can lead to deletion. And that is what happened in this story right here that involves a Brooklyn activist by the name of Ryan Carson, who was unfortunately stabbed to death fatally by a teenager, or a suspect being described as a teenager, after being out late at night after a wedding with his girlfriend. Okay, this guy was out at 4 a.m. in Bed-Stuy, New York, sitting on a bench waiting for a bus with his girlfriend, and some lunatic ended up stabbing him to death after getting in an altercation with the lunatic, after following the lunatic or walking in the lunatic's direction as the lunatic was having a fit of rage, knocking over somebody's bike. And again, just a situation that could have been avoided. But anyways, I'm going to play a news clip so you guys can get a better understanding of what happened here. Take a look.
A Brooklyn community is in mourning tonight after a beloved local activist is stabbed to death while waiting for a bus.
Fox 5's Lisa Evers has more on who he was and how he became such a fixture in his community.
A photo of 32-year-old Ryan Carson sits amid candles in Von King Park, where a vigil was held in his memory Monday night. The social justice and human rights activist had made his home in Brooklyn for more than a decade. He was waiting at a bus stop with his girlfriend about 4 a.m. Monday. The NYPD says this suspect came up to him, demanding to know what he was looking at, then fatally stabbed him multiple times in the chest. This grandfather, who's lived here for 50 years, tells us,
I usually feel safe around here, but I'll have my head on a swivel from now on.
About a mile away, outside his apartment in Bed-Stuy, we spoke with his roommate, who is devastated by his loss and asked us not to show his face.
He was committed to his direct personal relationships, the community he was in, and the city and the world at large. He was... I have never met another person like him.
New York State Assembly member Emily Gallagher, who'd worked with him on various issues, posted a tribute on X. For more than a decade, Ryan Carson had been a staff member at NYPIRG. Executive Director Blair Horner says in a statement, Ryan was a consummate team player who would happily undertake the basic blocking and tackling tasks necessary to advance and win on an issue, but also shined in the spotlight as a leader, campaign manager, and spokesperson. Most recently, Carson had been fighting for overdose prevention centers to save lives, says his roommate.
I'm upset, I'm grieving, but I do keep thinking about how many other people in his personal life have been affected by this, and them, and also what a genuine loss this is for the city of New York.
Police also say that the suspect had been acting erratically before the deadly attack, turning over scooters on the street. They're asking anyone with information to call 1-800-577-TIPS. In Brooklyn, I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News.
Now, you should notice there, because of wokeness, the news is going woke as well, too. They don't want to describe the suspect, right? They want to say, hey, anybody with information, please contact us. But they're not going to describe the suspect as a black male, okay? I mean, if you're looking for a suspect, I think we should know what he looks like, okay, or some general description of him. But nah, they don't do that, right? Because of wokeness, okay? Because of lacking common sense, okay? Wokeness has taken a place of common sense, and again, it leads to situations like this, right? There's no doubt in my mind that this guy, who was a woke activist, probably believed in defunding the police. He probably believed that, you know, black people who commit crimes don't commit crimes because they're bad people or anything like that. No, it's the white man's fault, right? It's white liberals like him. It's his fault, right? He's internally racist, and this guy, the black dude that stabbed, right, the black teenager, he's just a victim of the system, right? A system that was created by the evil white man like him. Again, the only reason I'm saying this is because this dude literally has friends that have went on the record and said that this guy, Ryan Carson, would feel sorry for the violent teenager who stabbed him to death and think of him as a, quote, victim of a broken system, right? So this is, again, the beliefs of this individual. Again, this is a terrible situation, but I just can't help but say that, you know, like, you know, there's a lot of things that went wrong here that I think went wrong because, again, the guy was lacking common sense, and the reason why he was lacking common sense because he's woke. And I'm going to talk more about that, but I want to read this real quick. Friends of murdered Brooklyn activist Ryan Thorson Carson say he feels sorry for the teenage criminal who stabbed him to death and would want his killing to be used to further advance left-wing policies in New York City. Carson was attacked at around 4 a.m. on Monday morning while waiting for a bus with his girlfriend, Claudia Morales, in Bedford Stuy, New York. Yeah, by the way, his girlfriend is a liberal activist, okay? She's actually a BLM activist, okay? So, again, what happened here is that this guy was stabbed to death in front of his BLM activist girlfriend, okay? So a white liberal social justice activist was stabbed to death by a black teenager in front of a BLM activist girlfriend. Again, this is, I'm just saying, it's a hell of a storyline, right? It really is. They had just arrived back in the city from a wedding in Long Island. His attacker has not yet been named. Police continue to hunt for the suspect, who locals say is a teenager. The youngster stabbed Carson to death, leaving him idle to die on a sidewalk while Morales stood over him. Again, so this is the person, right? Now, again, with my common sense, if I see a dude like this walking around on the street angry, I'm not walking anywhere near the guy. I'm not going anywhere near the guy. But that's not what, you know, the liberal activist did. He walked towards the guy and engaged with the guy. Nah, I would have been up out of there, right? I would have been up out of there if I was unarmed, that is. Okay, now if I was armed, it would probably been a little bit different. But if I'm unarmed, which you shouldn't be in, you know, a place like New York City, but maybe they don't have a choice, then, you know, like, again, these type of individuals, I'm stereotyping. I'm profiling, right? I am assuming the worst about this individual, okay? And I'm just saying, because that will save your life. If this individual had profiled this guy, he had stereotyped this guy and say, you know what? Angry black dude with dreads walking around late at night, 4 a.m., I'm out, right? I'm gone, okay? First of all, he shouldn't have been out at 4 a.m. Again, lacking common sense. You're out at 4 a.m. Why are you out at 4 a.m.? Again, it's a terrible situation, but you can't help but feel like it could have been avoided with just common sense, okay? Despite the senseless violence, friends of the 32-year-old say it wouldn't change his outlook on social justice. Quote, I know he would have wanted people to use his death as a means to talk about structural wrongs in the city. Quote, I'm absolutely positive that he would immediately see that this was a person who was suffering from a lack of resources in our community, who probably needs better mental health support, possibly housing, possibly drug support, drug treatment. Yeah, so again, this leftist would have saw the person that stabbed him to death as somebody that, hey, it's not his fault. He just was hungry. Okay. He lacked resources. He just needed, housing. Okay. He needed a place to stay. He needed a ham sandwich. Again, you just can't help but just think about the situations that these people are putting themselves in these cities, right? The policies they've advocated for and what they lead to. Okay. Again, you're seeing it happen all over the country. It just leads to self-destruction. Carson, who worked for the New York Public Interest Research Group, a nonprofit where his work focused on environmental causes like reusable batteries, he spearheaded other liberal causes like creating supervised drug injection sites across the city. Morales, according to now locked down social media profiles, was an avid BLM activist who, among other remarks, used the cop-hating acronym ACAB in some posts. So on this guy's cover photo, he said, "Be the leftist you pretend to be online." Yeah, so with that being said, again, this is, in my opinion, could have been avoided by using common sense. If this guy wasn't woke, okay, I think there's a good chance he probably would have been alive, because he probably would not have chanced it, putting himself in that type of situation, being out there at 4 a.m., and you got some madman walking around on the streets, and you decide that it's a good idea to, actually walk in that person's direction, and to get in some type of confrontation with this person instead of just walking in the other direction and getting out of there as quick as possible. You shouldn't have been out at 4 a.m. in the first place. Again, I'm not going to say I've been in a similar situation, but I have been in situations where I can instantly identify a threat. Like, for example, when I was in Barcelona, with a woman who was a girlfriend of mine at the time. We were walking to the gym, and was walking down the street. Again, this is in broad daylight. We see a crowd of people, and there are two men out there, and one man is bloody, right? As if the man had been fighting. And I can hear them arguing with each other, okay, making a whole big fuss, okay? They're mad, right? They're mad at each other, okay? So, I'm looking at this situation, and immediately, as a man, okay, I'm telling my girlfriend who I'm with, walking down the street, I'm like, nah, let's go, right? We're going in the other direction. She, as a woman, again, lacking common sense, so, let's see what it is. Let's go over there. Let's check it out. And I'm like, no. We don't need to check it out, okay? You have a man who's bloodied in the street. We don't need to check it out, right? We need to go in the opposite direction. Let's take another way to go to the gym instead of walking in this direction. Again, so, that, in my opinion, again, is just an example of a situation where I can think of off the top of my head where, as a guy, as a man, you have to be able to instantly identify what situations are not good situations to put yourself in, instantly identify what may potentially be a threat, and do whatever you can to get away from that threat as fast as possible, right? And that situation right there, again, the guy, for whatever reason, thought it was okay to be out at 4 a.m. in New York City, which I would never be out at 4 a.m. in New York City by myself at night. That's crazy, right? Especially just sitting on some random bench. Okay, if I'm out late, I'm going to be taking a taxi. I'm going to be sprinting wherever I got to go, right? I'm going to try to get inside as soon as possible because, again, you got lunatics roaming the street because of soft on crime policies. And I'm just not, I'm just not going to put myself in that type of situation. So, again, rest in peace to this individual. I really do believe that if he wasn't woke, he would still be alive today. And, I really do think that these leftists need to revisit their core beliefs, because their core beliefs, in my opinion, are not in line with their survival instincts or our natural survival instinct. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.